All right, and let me share the slide. Share screen, Google Chrome, share. All right, so where we're at, just a very quick summary. We almost nailed down the slides. The question is whether or not we include the content that's in the slide deck. It's also in the chat. The link is in the chat. Of the kind of comparison between Jakarta and microprofile. I added them in. There was a lot of pushback. I kind of hid them and moved them to the back. Then there was a lot of pushback on that. And some of those folks are on the call as well. So I'm going to kind of take a step back here. You know, I try to cut at it. So if someone else wants to lead the discussion on the comparison slides, feel free to go ahead. I don't know if it's Jan or I think Ruslan or Amelia had, you know, kind of agreed with me about having them in, but I'm not going to fight too hard for it at this point. But do we have a volunteer to kind of talk about the slides?
I will throw Mike under the bus.
Even if it's for or against, I mean, you know, either way.
Did you mean me, Amelia?
Yes, you were one of the participants, and but you never got to speak before on this matter.
Yeah, I don't know if I wrote them down in an email response or if it was on one of these previous calls, but you know, I for one, I think, you know, will advocate to keep those slides because, you know, there might be other Java groups out there who may consider joining the working group, whether, you know, for microprofile and or Jakarta EE. And, you know, having this sort of, you know, summary, just a quick few bullet points to show the difference between the two, you know, I think is just very much worthwhile. Because there are notable differences. And, you know, for us in particular with the Garden State Jug, I mean, we joined microprofile and we can also join Jakarta EE if we'd like one day. So that's my 2 cents on that whole situation.
So I will note that we did start out with a single slide. I don't know if that slide is still in there. I think it's this bottom slide. We started, you know, Scott and I took a crack at the first slide, right? And there was kind of pushback on this saying, well, let's kind of split it up between the differences if you're an end user developer and the differences if you want to, you know, join the working group. And that's how we ended up with this slide, the comparison for developers, and then the comparison for contributors, right? Those that want to join the working group. So these really are the two slides that we're currently at. So I guess any other comments about keeping them? So we kind of got Mike saying, hey, we got you know, we joined one at this point today, one and not the other, and it's useful for people to know the difference. Anybody else?
Sorry, I missed the first calls, but why the last slide showing the very in very small details what's different from the technical and I would say organizational perspective? That's a nice slide for me. For a contributor and developer, yeah, I have to go into details and might repeat some things that are relevant for both personas. So why not have one slide like this and update that a little bit because patent license is now chosen for microprofile.
No,
Right.
implementation license was chosen for microprofile.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. I was a little bit fast.
We have
the reason why we did split it up into, yeah, the reason why we did split it up into two is because it was mixing technical and non-technical concerns. And the discussion was around, well, who is this deck targeting, right? Is it targeting contributors or is it targeting developers? So that's one of the reasons why we basically took these bullets and moved them into two separate slides. So, I hope that addresses the question, Jan. It should generally be the same or very similar content.
I kind of like the two slides. It provides, I do not know, but it provides a much more visual and a space to consume the information.
I'd be happy with either the two slides or the one slide.
Yeah, but I am not picky as well. Someone here, let's see. Oh, the person is not here, sadly. Yeah, so clearly we are +1 and other comments. And John, you are correct. You did miss a few, and I doubt that you have seen the recordings, but it's really nice to have you on this call. And I know you did catch up with the emails after you joined the CN4J, so that was really cool.
Yeah, I think
Right.
to agree with Michael, it would be nice because you have to declare somebody why there are two projects and still two projects after Jakarta EE moved to Eclipse Foundation 2. And it would be nice to have some slide, the one or maybe the two, to show up easily why there are two working groups. And there are good reasons at this point of, I think.
I think his original pushback for this kind of comparison, etc. I think is we need to make sure the content wise. So what the difference is between microprofile and Jakarta EE, make the community feel kind of that's a different. And I think originally, I think is not much difference. I think if I remember correctly, to warranty like is kind of they are vastly different. If you go, John, if you go back to the previous one for the developers. So basically the like CDI first time box is released, and at the moment Jakarta EE is kind of the also talking about whether it's feature based or time based. I think from a developer point of view, I think it's pretty much is quite similar.
But still a different approach. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still a comparison.
Emily, so you say that you as IBM contributor wish not to have the slides because you don't see the difference as a developer. Is that your point?
No, my point is the two looks quite similar from a developer point of view. Like this is kind of the gradually is kind of the like even Jakarta EE is kind of CDI is everywhere, and I think pushing more on the CDI side. So that's kind of the thing is because Jakarta is also evolving, macro profile also evolving. So is what we write here is still, I mean, correct?
Okay, but you are not against having the differences here in the slides, correct?
I'm not against having differences.
Well,
I'm kind of trying to work out is how much value. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically what I'm trying to say. If we list a comparison, that's fine. Like we feel, all the readers feel, yeah, that's great. So my concern is kind of we don't really kind of trying to put a slide. Oh, that's a kind of difference. And however, developers saying, oh, that looks like similar to me. Sorry, Kevin. Yeah, you go for it.
No, I just want to offer a few alternative views of this. So, you know, most of you know, I'm involved with both projects, and looking at this type of comparison, to me, like my comments, that I find them counterproductive. Even like, okay, I'll point out a couple of things. A microprofile saying that it's cloud native. Well, I think Jakarta EE can be cloud native as well. And then the next bullet says microprofile experiments and innovates. Well, I think we innovate on Jakarta EE side as well. And so I think I think I don't know. It seems like we're setting up to try to have the two working groups compete against each other for developers or contributors. And I thought that the whole idea of the CN4J is to show that we work together. And that's my concern with these type of charts.
And I basically share that view.
Well, my perspective has always been, it's more the non-technical or the organizational aspects that are different, right? And you know, developers are always wondering why aren't they just one working group? And this, to a large degree, this is my answer. It's because they're very focused on the technical aspects. And in my opinion, it's actually the non-technical aspects that were a big driver behind creating microprofile.
+1, John. And Dimitri, you are here. Do you have a take on this? You have been quiet in this calls, and let me just maybe push you into maybe sharing something on behalf of yourself as a contributor, independent or with Oracle, because you are here.
You know, Amelia, if I don't say anything, it means that I agree with the conversation. I always say something if I disagree.
I know, just making sure everyone is speaking.
I'm totally agree with what Kevin and Will said just now.
Yeah, I mean, the community did raise the question, why are they separate? And it's because the question is being raised by developers who can't see any difference because they're only looking technically. I think there are technical differences, but there are differences that they can't appreciate, haven't yet appreciated, and it's partially our responsibility to show them, right? So like, here are 5 differences that I think are not small, and it's not bad, the choices that either project took, but they are differences. And it's just a matter of how we phrase them. I pasted it into the chat, by the way, so I'm sorry if do people generally disagree? I mean, I haven't phrased anything, but these topics, the two projects did make different choices on these regards.
Yeah, I think there are differences. I regard the primary audience of this deck as an end user and not necessarily a participant or contributor within either one of the communities. But to the extent that this targets like individual contributors, I'm not sure the fees are so relevant, right? Because Jakarta EE has a no fee option. Committee organization, yeah, it is true that they are structured differently. The current bullets, I'm not looking at them right now, but the current bullets that are in the comparison slide say like, microprofile encourages community participation.
Yeah,
Jakarta EE does not.
Right, and that's why I kind of wonder, can we focus in on some more simple?
Here's my highest level feeling about it. I think there's a lot of good work done in slides 1 through 8. I disagree with highlighting differences because from my perspective, that's contrary to the goal of in the first place. I'm interested in breaking this logjam. I would prefer not to have the extra slide. If we're going to have the extra slide, if we can compromise, let's just have one slide, keep it terse, and move on to the next thing. And by the way, the next thing might be put a slide in around how Jakarta EE is going to be building core profile, which can be consumed by more profile. So we can start to articulate better some of the synergies which are upcoming. So that's
I would
my
be fine
hope
with-
to compress down to one slide, and let's move on as a group to whatever other things we can work on.
I would be fine with the one slide. It has the least amount of objectional
Yeah,
material.
I just wanted to mention something towards Kevin's point about, the audience thinking that we might be, that microprofile and Jakarta EE would be working against each other. However, earlier in the slide deck, it's mentioned a couple of times that microprofile and Jakarta EE are, is a powerful collaboration. I mean, that should bring the point home. And yeah, I would agree with having a single slide. And if it requires maybe, more careful wording, such that it does not, provide this, air of working against each other, then maybe that's the way to go.
+1. Kenji, you are joining and it's almost 1 in the morning, your time. Do you have any take on this topic?
I'm not hearing.
I mean,
Oop.
yeah, it might be too late.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kenji,
yeah.
okay, Kenji is here.
I muted, yeah.
Kenji, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think that we should pursue the difference of the two working group except the technical issue. And I think the only difference of the technical issue is microprofile is an incubation platform and the Jakarta EE is a graduated platform. So I think if we say something about the difference between two working groups, we should just only say microprofile is cutting edge technology and Jakarta EE is designed for the strong backward compatibility. I think we should, if we say something, we should just these kind of things. So I don't think we should say something about the non-technical issue.
I'm not sure I agree with that characterization though, right?
Yeah.
It isn't that microprofile graduates specs into Jakarta, right? It creates specs and whether or not Jakarta wants to consume them is up to Jakarta. Now, core profile may change these things a bit, right? So I understand that. But there's some specs that may never be picked up by Jakarta, like the reactive messaging, or I'm just picking out a random one, right? It's not there. So I don't necessarily agree with the characterization that it's pure, I'm trying to find like radical innovation that'll never go anywhere in microprofile. I'm way over stating it, I guess, but it does create specifications that can stand on their own within microprofile if nobody else plans to pick them up. And we haven't really discussed technically how Jakarta will consume microprofile specs yet either, right? Will there be, well, I don't want to get into that part yet, but we're not sure how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Kenji's perspective was entirely wrong either. I mean, ultimately, his last sentence was, we do more aggressively. People get offended by the word innovate, but we guess more aggressively in microprofile, and it's really the place where we can make guesses and in many ways incubate. And as we guess and incubate, we make backwards incompatible changes. And things that become stable, we have discussed in the past, could graduate to Jakarta EE, but that's not necessarily, you know, like that's not necessarily the decided fate. But
however, once you use the incubation, and people will think, okay, this APIs is kind of just a random APIs. Is like since the micro profile is actually has the spec committee and etc. This is a standard APIs, so it's not like everything in draft. I think is we need to see the fact. I think I would not associate micro profile with incubation. So it's just like the thing is even we say okay, more kind of leaning towards breaking backward compatible changes. Yeah, that's fine.
Emily, how do you treat then open telemetry that is under sandbox and not as API?
No, that's the kind of the process. So basically is you propose something in the sandbox and then community discussion and say, okay, we will do more, we will adopt this into micro profile. So that's a kind of just starting the conversation on the new spec. So put it in the sandbox and then go through the process, and eventually it will end up in its own spec.
Yeah, but the difference is exactly there. One of the difference, technically speaking, is exactly there. In microprofile, any coder can come and say, hey, I have this idea, bring it into Sandbox without even getting approval, because Sandbox welcomes anyone and everyone. The Jakarta side doesn't have that part because it needs to be stable. It has an 18 and now 20-year technology and it's evolving. So that is the difference.
This is not true what you're saying, right? For instance, now we are working on Jakarta config, and they are not taking any kind of the approach that it has to be 20 years old technology or whatever. We are just making it right for Jakarta, right? So everything what's possible in microprofile is definitely possible in Jakarta too. But process in Jakarta, this is my personal opinion, is much better established. Because as you said, this is cool that I am someone working on something, can propose something to microprofile, and boom, 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 without much approvals, it gets into a spec. And this is exactly what Jakarta disallows. Because that's someone who proposes that needs to have some weight, and the API proposed needs to be good. And it has to be reviewed many times in order to pass all the reviews. And this is kind of the quality control. And this is the difference between microprofile and Jakarta, because Jakarta pushes more quality control on things, and the process is better established.
Well, that is true, right? That's absolutely true. That's why there's a stronger backwards compatibility guarantee on Jakarta.
That's not only about backwards compatibility, it's about the better fit, it's about the better design concept, it's about more people are looking at that and so on. So, but by allowing easy push through to the spec from nothing, this is, well, one may think it's good, might think it's not. That's my personal opinion anyway.
So Dimitri, I would say though, that since microprofile, we are now a working group and we have to follow the EFSP, I think some of that structure that is required by Jakarta EE is now going to be required by microprofile. So I don't think it's quite as
and this
as
is good.
easy.
And this is good. And we should work on establishing a nicer processes as in Jakarta, or maybe even better.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically it's in don't want to hijack the call. In today's microprofile call, we are going to, like Kevin and I, going to talk about what's a formal process for the new spec. So it's that's again is starting with the sandbox and gradually go through the formal review process.
So we're getting, talking about specific bullets, but I didn't count, but it seems like we're basically a 50-50 split.
Yeah,
Right.
it sounds like it sounds like for the people who don't want there to be differences slides, one slide is the least objectionable.
Yes.
That I will agree with, David.
You know,
One slide.
and
Well, that's
so
okay.
maybe we just
Kevin, you
take the one
raised a
slide and
concern
just be
about
done with
one
it.
bullets in particular.
Yeah, you know, the one with the cloud native, I mean, maybe could we just modify that to say that it's, you know, I don't know how you want to say it, microservices focused or something to that effect?
On
I was on the one slide, I believe that.
Yeah, on the one slide.
zero in on the one slide.
Okay, so we have decided to work in one slide and we will correct it right now, correct?
That's what we're trying to do.
We're
Okay.
attempting to
So-
get there.
So
Okay, I'm
on
gonna
the
copy
one
this
slide,
here.
so
Sorry,
on
I'm
this
looking
one,
at this slide.
right, on
There we
this
go.
one slide, do we want to I mean, concentrate on the technical side?
Personally, I think there's one bullet which is significantly concerning. So I'd like to hear, unless somebody thinks there's more than one bullet which is significantly concerning. But
I think
Oh,
there are more
and-
than one bullet.
And I will say that by going with the single slide in the shorter bullets, I think it's better because it won't, we don't have to try to explain it as much. And I think
Right.
that's where we get into problems.
Yeah, I agree. It's less objection because there's less material. It's just very
Yeah.
terse. And
Yep.
Yeah.
you
But
can't say
then-
qualitative words like good or bad or improved or, you know, things that get you into trouble.
So Kevin proposed microservices focused instead of cloud native for microservices, removing the suggestion that Jakarta EE is not cloud native. How's that sound?
I can live with it.
Music to my ears.
Well, it feels like a good compromise then because it's music to my ears. So
Yeah,
Focused, John. Sorry. Or
Sorry, I was trying to zoom in to make it bigger.
focus is
And
okay.
But
Focus is
hold on for me a second. Kenji, if there is one slide and you're here to work with us in it, will you vote a +1 with one slide or will you vote -1?
Yeah, once, yeah. Yeah, +1 for one
For one
slide.
slide, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then I would have a suggestion instead of using the term non-technical, I would say organizational.
good call.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah,
And for the patent license, we could only write implementation patent license, so it's shorter, and then compatible patent license. Or no.
yep.
I'm glad everybody's agreeing to this
Isn't it just
I-
compatible patent license?
license option.
So-
This is in anticipation of our steering committee.
Compatible patent license is the
This is
name.
the fifth call, so there is no choice but to move forward and get it done.
Right,
Are we-
so
are
for
we-
the, sorry,
ahead.
for the technical ones, I think is the time box release and versus feature-based release is not quite true at the moment. Do we really want to highlight that?
I guess
We can always revise this.
The suggestion is that micro profile releases more rapidly. And I think, and
Maybe
there's a-
we say more rapidly.
Let's let Will
rapid,
finish. I would
Yeah.
love to
Sorry.
hear the end of Will's sentence.
So the way this current slide reads suggests to me that micro profile has tended to release more frequently, whereas Jakarta EE has tended to release less frequently. I think that leaves people with a reasonable impression. And I don't think it's counter to any impression that an informed observer would have.
Yeah, I agree.
it's okay.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
In the future, if there are time box releases, we'll just revise this slide again. You know,
Oh,
or
I didn't
or
hear
take it
the
out.
recommended wording in that.
No,
I think the
I
wording's
think we
fine.
leave it.
Oh.
No,
okay,
I thought is the rapid release cadence, and then Jakarta EE is kind of the not so rapidly, right?
Well, again, if you use words like fast, then the implied opposite is slow, and then we're starting to get into things that make one look positive and the other one look negative.
Yep.
So I would prefer just time boxed versus feature based because neither one is bad. And we have been doing that on the Jakarta side. We have been doing feature based releases.
But at the moment, they're talking about maybe it's a time based. So it's a kind of we have to see what will
Yeah.
go.
Right, but we
Jakarta
have
EE
3
10.
years. We have 3 years of feature based, and a discussion about changing that doesn't materially impact the marketing material right now.
And the historically parenthetical word there is a qualifier. So, you know, I think I think the fourth bullets are relatively benign. That's my feeling about them.
But we can remove
so
the.
Emily, but I
right?
want to hear Emily out. So that's just my feeling.
But the same thing with wording applies to backwards incompatible changes too, right? Because microprofile says backwards incompatible changes allowed, which makes feeling that it's not allowed in Jakarta, but it's actually allowed, but we want to keep stronger backwards compatibility.
Right. So you're okay.
Yep.
You're okay with that kind of comparison. Is that true, Dimitri?
I'm okay with that comparison. I don't like backwards incompatible changes allowed wording for microprofile. Maybe it should be changed to something else.
Weaker backwards compatibility. I don't know if that.
It's even
that
even worse, right? It's even worse.
If you have new language, then suggest it.
I don't. I'm just pointing on the issue.
All right. Well, then
Possible.
I'm not
How often is
inclined. I'm not
possible?
inclined to spend my time. I don't have a problem with it. So if you have a language, propose it.
Okay, let me think about that in this case.
Can you do it in real time, Dimitri?
Yes. Mike, you're here. Do you think what we have currently here will speak to a new JAG? Do you think we're missing? You're a writer. So do you think what is missing based on what you know from microprofile in Jakarta? Is there anything missing you would like to submit?
Yes, in terms of the backwards incompatible and yeah, I'm having a tough time trying to figure that out without having a negative connotation to it.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
How about removing that line item?
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea.
I wouldn't be okay with that.
No.
Because actually, backwards incompatible changes allowed. It may be considered not good too, is it?
How about John suggested weaker backwards compatible?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a negative term. How about
weaker is negative.
I'm fine with the way it is. I really kind of want to get done with this topic, and
it's enough that you would entertain it. So
I mean, backwards.
You're correct. You're correct.
Backwards incompatible sounds actually much better than breaking changes, right?
But breaking changes allowed sounds
Yeah.
good. Or?
I mean, that's what technically that is, right? I mean, microprofile. I'm sorry. Yeah, one of the APIs, metrics. One of the more, I think metrics had some breaking changes, but then
a couple times, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say breaking changes allowed. And it's shorter
I'm fine
than
with that.
the existing one.
Does it sound good for microprofile? Can it be considered as an advantage for microprofile?
Yeah,
Well,
because
I
you
think
can get rid of things that not work, for example, very fast. Making a major release and it's gone.
Yeah, people may think that the design concept was bad at the beginning.
Well,
I don't think so.
So I'm feeling willing to go +1 on this slide and conclude the discussion. How does anybody else feel?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I know that we said that Ryan will work on this. Tommy Tri-Side will work on this, but I
What is
will.
there to work on anymore?
No, but anyway, we have to add the same format for the other slides, and I would love for us to do it later. If it's
Can you
What
explain
other
this?
slide?
no, it
Yeah.
means no. It means we need to put on the
Make it
left.
pretty.
On the left side, we need to add microprofile. If you go to, we need to add the microprofile logo on the left side. But
Oh,
that
we
is
can
the
do that
only-
like right here on the call.
if someone can do it, that would be perfect.
Who's got the link to the slides? I'll do it.
Yeah, if we can just send this,
Oh, wait, it's
delete whatever doesn't work, and just send this out for a vote during this call and say, listening committee, just vote. This is the 5th call, right? We're exhausted on the topic. Let's get over with it. And this is my biased personal opinion.
Change that you want to see.
Here, microprofile on the bottom left, the logo needs to be added.
I see. John, can you do that in real time? Is that possible?
Here we go.
Thank you.
Figures.
it's in the master template. You just got to do it there. Yeah, if you got I'm looking for the.
I'm looking edit theme.
The link is in the.
Okay, there we go. I got it. Thanks.
You got it. All right, you take care of it.
So while you guys do that, and folks, I will use folks because there are not only men in this call. Thanks to
Just
Emma.
be careful with the accent.
Exactly. Cultural differences.
People might hear a different word and be very offended.
Yes, sorry. So we have the document that we use for the draft to the skeleton document. And we'll remember that we said that we will work on it because it's part of this slide. And I recommend that we go there and just clean it ourselves. And, if we want to make it a part of the vote will not fly today. But I'm saying let's keep it in the background, clean it, and be very.
My recommendation would be stronger. Like we'll just delete it and say that these slides supersede.
Can we say that?
Yeah. Why
Because
not?
because David created the slides and you were amazing to put this forward like as a draft, and then all of us came together and we can do.
I didn't create the slides. Will created the slides.
No, we created the slides, you created the skeleton, and it's all that work that both
Well, it
of
was
you.
collaborative, so.
Yeah, all the work, but I'm not saying to delete it completely. I don't believe in deletion. We can say we can go in there and clean it.
This has been superseded.
Yeah, can we say that? Can we say that someplace?
Yes, I will do that if I can find that document.
I can send it to you. I swear. Like
How's it going with the image there, David?
I was struggling to find the master layout. They
Exactly.
changed their UI.
You need Ryan after all.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Can I make some suggestion to another slide for the content?
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Let's
Which
please
slide?
not.
I would like to share an idea. We discussed the role of microprofile to Jakarta E and vice versa, like sharing the core profile from Jakarta E to microprofile, and maybe some spec that might be worth to integrate in Jakarta E, like config, for example, back to Jakarta EE. Should we have something like a wheel with 2 arrows showing that? That's the main force between the working groups?
I tell you what, that hasn't actually happened yet. So it might be better to keep the presentation doing things that have already happened in the last, like 3 years. So if we open the door to things that could happen, then everybody's suggestions come back on the table.
Exactly.
We never get this closed.
I agree.
Okay.
Oh, it's been fixed. Oh no, it hasn't.
No, the problem the microprofile logo is not even in the template, so I'm not sure.
It's on the top of the implementations. So
Yeah, here we go.
So I just.
Oh, how are you able to highlight that?
What?
Oh, who's?
That's not me.
It's
Someone's
like
moving it.
from slide 7.
Yep.
Go. Now this is.
There we go.
It's not
That's
this.
perfect.
You gotta go further to the left.
So
See, microprofile has more pixels from the border, therefore it's.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't know.
Let's not be picky. I swear to you guys, like everyone, let's not be picky. We will do our
There.
best. We can
That's
clean
fine.
it
That's good
later.
enough.
We can
Ship
clean it
it.
later. We just need something that everyone will see. We
Okay.
will clean it later. Only this slide.
I don't really know that
But
needs
I
to be
do want
cleaned.
it
It's
to
good
be
enough.
recorded in the meeting minutes that Will Lyons fixed the graphics.
Well, I think we should do that. We should do that. And
Artistic-
then Will pulled the sword from the stone and was declared king of graphics.
So,
like
so let's
that.
focus. Let's focus. We have spent
But,
5
yeah, but
hours.
when
5
you're on it, on slide 7 and 8, there's also not used the master slide with the logos.
Can we see, I thought we deleted the two different. John, can you share again?
Yeah, sorry.
What is the problem now?
No, we want 7 and 8 are strategically not sharing the slides because we're sharing logos. So it's overkill. So I
Wait,
really-
wait, what? What's now? What was the
Okay.
feedback though? I didn't hear it.
it's on the top. Do you see it, John? On the top, microprofile Jakarta.
The feedback was microprofile and Jakarta EE are no longer appearing in the bottom corner.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
because they're in the top now.
They're on the top, John. Do you see them?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put them on the top because it's kind of cool.
So I move that we recommend to the steering committees that this deck, but can we delete the excess slides at the bottom?
They are done. They are deleted.
Yeah, I deleted them already.
This
Okay.
group recommend to the steering committees that they approve this joint messaging deck.
Can
So
we,
I will second.
Will, can we do the accept or reject the comments? These comments are so old.
I think John's cleaning them up.
Yeah.
So
I'm delete-
I second that, Will.
Okay,
Yeah.
we changed the June, by the way, I just noticed this. It's a June.
Will, where will you put that this slide supersede previous document?
Yeah, the date, update the date, by the way, put like June, I think Will said June 2021. Is that what you commented on, Will?
That is my comment.
Yeah.
So I will document in the messaging document that has been superseded by the slide deck. So,
Perfect.
so David seconded the motion.
Mhm.
So I don't know, I'm +1. David, you're next in my participant list.
Yeah, I said +1, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
John, I missed you, John, your host.
Anyone else wants to +1 this? Because it will go into the minutes for
Yep.
going for a vote today, right now,
Yep.
today.
+1 for me.
+1 for me.
Okay, we have, who is writing in the minutes?
Yeah, stop interrupting everyone.
Sorry, just write
We'll
in the
get done.
minutes. That's my-
We'll get done way faster if everyone just says.
Okay,
Oh, Amelia,
I'm +1, clearly.
Jan,
+1.
Dimitri,
+1.
Kenji,
+1.
Kevin,
+1.
Caesar,
+1.
Emily,
+1.
thank you. Ivar,
To find my mute button.
Ivar,
I think I'll abstain.
okay. Michael,
+1.
and I see Paul White. I'm assuming he's not actually here, but maybe he is.
I am here and I will not cast a ballot.
Okay. So it's +1s for, and the Eclipse Foundation members abstain. All +1.
Yes, but this is to send the slides for a vote electronically into the CN4J, correct?
No, the process is that both steering committees should vote to approve or not. That's the way, that's the.
Oh,
process.
okay, and their own formats, and their own operational formats, correct?
That's correct. But
Okay.
when, for example, I put this on the agenda for the steering committee, I will say that this was reviewed, that everybody who participated in the final meeting agreed, and let's vote. And if somebody, if it's a majority does not vote, I think I'll just jump out the window. Fortunately, I'm working from home and it's I can jump out the first floor window so I won't hurt myself.
Is there a bar across the street?
No, but I have my own solutions to that problem.
Okay.
So everyone, please write the +1s or -1s or zeros here in the minutes. When John and Will send the minutes for their votes, they will use the minutes, and this is a supporting so that I have to do less stacking.
While we're here, Paul White was 0, or Paul White abstained, which we're representing as a 0 here.
Well, no, he's not voting, which includes not abstaining.
Yeah.
Right? He just didn't vote at all.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, John.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I didn't know that was an option. I might choose that option at some point.
I think Paul gets an advantage because he's the
Well, he
foundation,
does.
so he's
Absolutely.
He's neutral.
impartial, right?
Yeah, he's neutral. That's a smart. 0 is smart. Are we done? Can we get 10 minutes back? Are we happy? I'm super happy. Oh, I feel relieved.
I am, yep, all right, I'm happy. So I guess what I'm gonna do here, and I think all the votes are recorded. One quick glance for the folks on the call. Did I miss anyone? All right, so with that being said, thanks everyone for joining the call. This will be
Thank you
uploaded.
for setting it up, John.
What was that?
Thank you for setting up all these calls.
Oh yeah, no problem. I suspect the next round of calls are going to be around. Excuse me. Is going to be around technical alignment. So I don't know who's going to host those calls. I could do that too, but I'm just saying. So anyway, thanks, Will, for setting up the messaging calls as well. I kind of handled the slides, and you handled the early calls as well. So let's give back 9 minutes to everyone, and we'll figure out on the mailing list what the next steps are.
Okay. Thanks all.
This will be uploaded.
Thank you, everybody.
On the
Thank you.
microphone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, and all within an hour, less than an hour. That's awesome.
Totally.
Wonderful.
We did it.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.